Welcome back to Butler Hemp Co. and thanks for joining us on this one. We thought we'd take a little time today to go through the steps or the different phases that our products take as they go through our extraction process. So first you see here is hemp biomass, and this hemp was grown locally here in Kansas by one of our partner farmers. They do an exceptional job. This biomass contains roughly 12% cannabinoid content, so it will go on to make a fine finished product, and it'll be a nice, effective, and efficient extraction there as well. Some of the other biomass that we may see on the market, it may range in cannabinoid content from 2 or 3 on up to 12, maybe 15 at the greatest. We like to say anytime we're extracting CBD hemp that's over 10%, we're very happy with that quality. So once we've got the biomass in and we've got it tested, we know it's free of heavy metals and pesticides, we will then grind it. Grinding is the first step in our process, and we do that for a couple of reasons. First of which, we need to get it to a uniform particle size. So as we grind down the hemp biomass, we shoot for roughly a 0.5 millimeter particle size, and that allows us to have a more effective and efficient extraction. So once it's ground and then it makes its way down the line into an extractor, with it being a smaller particle size, we get a more efficient extraction just based upon surface area. Obviously, the smaller the particle, the more surface area that CO2 has to touch and extract the oils from that plant material. And it's a more efficient extraction. It takes us less time and less CO2 to do that. The other situation that is improved when we grind our product down to such a small size is that we can pack our extraction columns more densely. More product in equals less time and less effort to do a complete extraction. So once our product is ground, the next step is decarboxylation. And you can see a little bit here, they have just a touch different color. But decarboxylation is basically the process of using heat and a little bit of vacuum to remove the acidic molecule from the cannabis flower. So CBD actually starts life in the plant as CBDA, or an acidic compound. Once we decarboxylate that acid is removed, it's a more neutral compound, and that makes it more bioavailable for your body. The acidic compound obviously is not going to be as effective, and we also get a better extraction through our liquid CO2 machines once the decarboxylation process has taken place. So once it's been decarbed, this is actually the product that we will then load into the extractor. So you can see, obviously, product in, oil out. This is what we will put in the extractor. We will run it at a predetermined pressure, temperature, and time, depending on the cannabinoid content. Right now, we're running about at 1 hour extraction runs at about 4,200 PSI. So once we do that for an hour, we will see this raw crude. And this raw crude, obviously you can tell it has a nice light, almost mustardy color. Part of that is because it is impregnated with some of the CO2 that we've used during extraction. So it's kind of whipped up, it's got a little bit of a gaseous content to it, but once you add just a little bit of heat, and I mean a little bit, 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit, that is going to condense down. The gas will be obviously removed and expelled off into the atmosphere. So this raw crude has all the beneficial cannabinoids that we want to extract from the hemp biomass, except it also has some things that we don't want to find their way into our end product. The part of the reason that you see this, it's thick and it will hold its shape and it's a little different color, is it not only contains the cannabinoids, but it also has some of the fats and waxes that this plant also produces. We don't want to see those, like I said, in our finished products. So the next step is going to be winterization, or removing the lipid content of the fats and waxes. Think of it a little bit like hemp vegetable oil, if you will, but that's not something that we want to take on any further in the process. So we will take this crude, we will blend it down, we will put it in our cryogenic freezers. Those are set to negative 40 degrees Celsius, and we will let that crude sit overnight. We all know what happens to fats or waxes when obviously it's chilled or they're cooled, they turn into a solid. So between here and there, we get this very, very cold. We send it through a vacuum filter while still being negative 40 degrees Celsius. So the fats and waxes have solidified. We're pulling the CBD through a 20 micron filter with vacuum. Fats and waxes are still solid, they can't do that. So we end up with a wax cake that's roughly a 1/4 inch thick, and we'll scrape that off and it'll go on to a different process. Once winterization has been completed, we have what we now call winterized crude, and you can see this, it's very thick, it's quite dark, and that's the next step before we take it to a finished distillate. Now, some neat things about these 3 oils. Once we're in oil form, basically what we're doing is trying to refine and increase potency. So when the oil comes out of the extractor, it is roughly 52 to 57% CBD content. Once we've winterized and removed some of those fats and lipids, our winterized crude is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of generally 55 to 65% CBD concentration. Once we get over here into a highly refined distillate, that concentration of cannabinoids is going to be somewhere in the 82 to 90% range. And that's what we're shooting for in a finished distillate. So we will take this winterized crude, we will send it through one of our 2 white film distillation apparatuses, and basically we know what temperature the CBD will vaporize at. And inside that column, it allows us to vaporize the CBD, that molecule specifically, and virtually nothing else other than some trace cannabinoids, and then recondense it and remove some of the undesirables in here, which may be chlorophyll or plant sugars, and have a highly refined CBD distillate. The CBD distillate that we have right here is what we use. I mean, it looks like beautiful honey. It's what we use in every one of the Butler Hemp Co products, which I have a few of sitting here. So this will go into any of your ingestible oils, any of our topicals, and also any of our gummies. So thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with us, and stick around for the journey. We got lots of neat things coming up.